All right. This is going to be a good one, man. It gets so bad, man, when you're trying to hold these discussions. And as you guys know, I know a lot of stuff, but I don't try to just be right. I try to have the conversation. And what we get a lot of times is people who want to have a giggle moment where they're not serious, they're not intellectual, they pretend to be well read, but then you ask them timelines, dates, uh, names of kings and queens, and these people cannot answer stuff. And they spend so much time trying to have a giggle moment that they're not able to articulate their own points. So, what's up, Jeremy? So I'm going to go through this thing because you're trying to have these conversations, and you just got people who are afraid to have a discussion. Uh, and what's so sad is, man, you just got a lot of people who are not able to have a valid conversation. Here's what I have gone to understand, and you guys can come up. I've invited probably 13 white guys to come and debate me about this Cleopatra Egypt thing. 1991, I am in Tingis. I refer to it as Tingis. I refuse to use the Arab version of that name. What I try to tell you as black men all the time, Mr. Research is well read and well exposed, but I'm from the hood just like you. Okay. I've been on the block just like you are. The only difference is I'm exposed to a lot of information. And that's the one thing that anti blacks fear. Shout out to Yogi Fish in the house, finally in the house. Shout out to New World Order. Dizzle, what's going on, man? You done changed your name, Dizzle? Uh, Here's the thing. Anti-black people only have one argument in this Cleopatra conversation. Only dark-skinned people are black. Halle Berry ain't black. Serena Williams' daughter ain't black. Their conversation is only on skin. I literally had a discussion with somebody who said that people were painted reddish brown because the sun darkened their skin. How ridiculous is that? What? If they were light white, we got statues, we got artifacts where some of the people are lighter skinned. Why are these particular people red, these particular people dark? I can point you to one wife of a pharaoh who is extremely dark having her hair done. She's not black. According to your own documentation of skin color, this is what's so sad about these people. And you black men, hit the like button, hit the like button. Hold on, I'm gonna hold on to you guys hit the like button because you got to do righteous. Hit the like button. You black men are part of the problem because you're always agreeing to what white people say only because you haven't read. You're always agreeing to. I'm the one who taught you about crime statistics, how there's no such thing as blacks commit most crime. It's not even documented in FBI statistics like that. Those are arrests. Those are 911 calls. Those are not convictions. But you black men to get on listening to what these white people, these anti-blacks have to say, and you'll use your black face, and then they'll come right behind you. See, look at what this black guy said. It's crazy how black and African men help their own image, help destroy their own image. It's crazy. So let's dig into this real quick because I have there's a guy in my chat section right now. I was finna go work out. I'm giving him the opportunity to come on. There's so many people, unfortunately, who don't want to have a discussion. So I'm going to give you a couple of things some of these anti-black people have been saying. Anti-black people are saying that light-skinned people can't be black. They have to be full white. Huh? This is what they're saying. These are the talking points. They're not black because they're light-skinned. And I got the argument from one guy because a person is white passing, therefore they're white. You Africans and you black men better start understanding the stuff that these people are saying and how they try to use it politically against you and your son. I'm the only one on black YouTube talking about black sons. You guys got to understand how these people use this whole I don't care about that. Guess what? When they weaponize against you, then you'll care. So I'm going to dig into this real quick just so you'll have better information to defeat these talking points when you run up against them. Mr. Bignon says, John Morant, yet black people taking up for the fuckery. Black folks is always taking up for the fuckery. And it's mostly black guys. Like, as much as you guys talking about women, it is very rare that women get up on these talking points. And I mean, it's very rare. It's very rare. It's too many black guys getting up here having these crazy conversations. So first of all, let's deal with this Rotten Tomatoes thing. So what's so funny about Rotten Tomatoes? I was just on the thing with a guy trying to claim that because Rotten Tomatoes has a 2% score for this documentary on Netflix, therefore black people must hate it too. Huh? Black people don't even go to the darn Rotten Tomatoes to leave no I hate or I like on a darn Rotten Tomatoes. Only the people who are Rotten Tomato members and followers do that type of shit. I go look at Rotten Tomatoes just to see what somebody said about it, but not to leave a message. And like I said to the white man, it's only 2% because there's so many I hate black skinned people leaving comments. So it's going to drown out. Even if you did a few thousand people who leave good comments, it's going to drive it out because that's how algebra works. And you black men need to understand that. Shout out to Tony, man. He's talking about Joe Moran's a bozo. You guys got to leave me a link to what Joe Morant said in the chat room. Please leave me a link. The fault of the community is to lean more towards men than women. A scream. What do I say on this channel all the time? It's about you and your son. It ain't about these other people. It's about you and your son. Women are going to be women. Women are going to be women. I don't hate women, but women are going to be women. I mean, the more you laugh and walk away from them, the better they'll act. Let me say it again. The more you laugh and walk away from women, what do I tell you? Wolf away, wolf away. The more you laugh, when you go back and forth with a woman, you're helping her. When you argue with a woman, you helping her. You pretty much laugh and walk away, man. But that's not the purpose of this conversation. Yeah, scream. Black people don't even know what Rotten Tomatoes is. But this is the type of weapons that these anti-blacks be trying to use. Nobody cares like that. No, only anti-blacks care. So let me get into a conversation. I'm hoping this white guy comes to the meetup. I left him a link for him to come on. Hopefully he comes on. So, you know, it is what it is. What do you mean by the fault of the community does not lean toward men? Maybe I don't know. Jeremy, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you got to holler at me about that one. Anyway, so I'm going to go through a couple of these things, man, and just share with you, because I want you guys to be great conversationalists. I want you guys to be very good at presenting how this stuff works. But before I do, let me make sure you understand what all this is about. At the end of the day, black men, you have to get more well read on conversations that you come across. You can't be emotional about it. People want you to get emotional. That's why they say the giggle, giggle stuff they say. So let's dig into this. First, I'm going to present this whole thing with the sharing of the screen. Okay. So, Rotten Tomatoes. All right. So, as you see, this is 2%. And for anti-black people, they feel this is a victory. They're actually using this as documentation. See, black people don't even like it. You don't even have a way. I mean, look, even when you click this, you don't even have a way to leave your score. You got to go join all this stuff to do that. Hey, we don't care like that. It isn't that serious to us. But for these anti-blacks, they feel it's necessary to have this type of comical conversation. And you're like, come on, man, let's have a legit college conversation. So I'm going to go through a couple of things that I was talking about with one of these people, and let's go through it. So one of the people said, Mr. Research, mixed people were in the area. And I said, yes, mixed people were in the area. And he says, but you know, they're not all Nubians. I said, yes, I know they're not all Nubians. Some of them were Cushites. The land was of Cush way before Pharaoh had a Pharaoh. Now, he's just using talking points that he heard. He says, well, some people were reddish tint and some people were tan. That's not in dispute. Well, they're not black. So you think that black only means darkness of skin? That's the people. Cush was comprised of Libya, lower Libya, near Lake Nassar. And I said to him, notice I'm dropping names. I'm not just having a believe me speech. People close to the Lake of Nassar, where most of the gods came out of, Happy, and see, they don't expect black dudes to know this stuff. Horus, that's over near Sudan. Sudan, as you know, has a lot of black people. It didn't start having Arab people until after the War of 600 BC. They used to call the area the land of the blacks, but the Arabs changed that to the Garden of Eden, when we know that's not the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is in Iraq, near the Tigris and Euphrates. So, but they expect black dudes not to know this stuff. And I said, so your argument of believe me because I say so doesn't work. I'm a well-researched dude when I talk. I'm not just a regular dude from the hood. I'm a dude from the hood with some scholar. What are you talking about? So then he goes on into some other little stuff, which I'm about to cover for you. But I'm like, dude, the god is from one of the gods in 600 BCE is Happy, Hapi, and she has she has blue skin, and she comes from near Lake Nasser, actually Answar, or I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but sir, that's near Sudan. That's lower Libya. At the time, that was Upper Egypt. So what are you talking about? Upper Egypt wasn't even Alexandria. And then when you get them on these points, they go to a whole new point. They go to a whole new point. Jeremy, if you didn't mean to hide it, just unhide it. Unhide it. So then you get to saying some other stuff to them, as only Mr. Research can tell you this stuff. I said, so if all the gods came out of Sudan, how are you going to tell me that's not black? That whole area was considered Cush at the time, way before there was a pharaoh. And then the people start getting quiet. Then they start trying to crack jokes. Because, once you embarrass people on your scholarship as a black man, they get upset. So one guy said, Cush was one brief dynasty. Brief dynasty? Sir, it existed before Pharaoh had a pharaoh. The first pharaoh was Mena. What are you talking about? Sir, A brief dynasty, they existed. But they expect you black dudes to just agree. That's the hysterical thing. And I'm still waiting on this white guy to come and join, because, Mr. Research, I do not run away from discussions. You guys know this. And I wish one of these white guys could come, man, and so you guys can really see a real scholarly battle. But a lot of times these Arabs and these white guys, they want to stay in their echo chamber. Yogi Fish knows all about this. These people want to stay in their echo chamber. They're afraid to have real discussion. And I said, you claim things were brief, sir. You just want to control the microphone. You don't have any good information. And somebody says Egypt was only 10-20% Arab. Okay. You're just helping my claim. And then he says, you can't let go of your broken knowledge. You see the insults? You are even saying it's only 10-20% Arab. And they weren't even Arab at the time. To you black men in the chat room, they were Bedouin. They hadn't even created the Arab concept yet. They were Bedouin nomadics. So, so these people, man, they come with this stuff, man, and you ask them to come on stage. Let's have a discussion. The link is in the chat room. If you white and looking, come on up. You don't need to show your face. It's all good. Put you on audio. Hide your camera. But you'll come up and igger. You'll everything's a joke. And this is why I say you black men read. Make sure you read. Know information better than these white folks, because this is why these white folks were chipping off noses back in the day. And then you would say, hey, you chipping off noses, and here come a black person trying to help the white person. Oh, no, those noses were white. And then later we found out, yeah, it was white people chipping off noses. Napoleon buried a lot of information. And then that black person who was helping the white people, like, well, what does it matter? What does it matter? Why don't you just shut up if you don't know? So one guy said, you are right. It was King Menes, who was definitely black, who combined upper G. Exactly. So if you got people in the chat admitting, yeah, Mr. Research knows his shit, what's all the insults for? What's all the insults for? But here's where I did this live stream for you black men in the chat room, so you can know it is a well-read black man fighting for causes in white spaces for you, making you look intelligent, making you look well-researched. You got a white man on YouTube that want to talk shit? Go get Mr. Research. No, I'm going to go get Mr. Research. Let me go look up his page. Ha, ha, ha. He only has 4,000 subscribers. Ha, ha. It's all the joke until we get up here and have a discussion. And just like you saw me talk with a lot of white people who've come on my page. No, we having a back and forth. Shout out to Misfit. Misfit, come on up, brother. Come on up. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So like where me and Misfit disagrees is Misfit, for example, has a different conversation style. He believes that, and this ain't no knock to Misfit. This is just his different style. Interrupting people constantly is not information. That's not information. Interrupting people constantly is not information. Information is when the audience decides who has superior documentation and who doesn't. If I'm just interrupting you doing the spin, then all you're doing is dominating the microphone and having what's called it's kind of like a red herring, but it's a circular argument, because you're never getting to an end point. There's always a new topic on top of a new topic on top of a new topic. But I'm glad Misfit is here. I ain't got no knock for him. You guys treat Misfit nice. Do not block any of his comments. You let his comments rock, because if you block his comments, I'm gonna have to remove you from having mod status. So Misfit is a guest here. He is allowed to speak his thoughts. But I want Misfit to take this with him, because Misfit, I have offered 13 white men to come and debate me on this Cleopatra Egypt thing. So Misfit, please find me a white man. I would love to debate a white man on this, or Arab on this conversation. So I got to go to the gym. I ain't gonna be too long. So I just want to say to you guys, so I've offered several white men to come on live with me. They just want to stay in the echo chamber where they at and talk shit, you know. So now somebody says, well, Egyptians have Arab DNA. So let's be clear on what DNA is. DNA only gives you the location of a haplogroup. A haplogroup is whether it's mother or father. That's all it means. That's all it means. It means it's a location marker. It has nothing to do with skin. Let me prove my point. Yogi Fish is going to love this one. The people in Chad are not considered sub-Saharan. Ain't that amazing? Half of Sudan is not considered sub-Saharan. Ain't that amazing? But yet Sudan has existed after the fall of Egypt. So if those dark-skinned people are not sub-Saharan, make that make sense. You know, I said that to a historian, and he just sat there looking and said, he didn't want to say I had a point. Now, mind you, he has a degree in this stuff. I don't. But he didn't want to say I had a point. So how is a sub-Saharan? And recently, 1998, the Arabs start, after really the fall of Gaddafi, the Arabs have now taken over Libya and trying to make northern Sudan as Arab. You see how everything, skin color, comes down to politics? Wacky world. Everything skin color comes down to politics. So after the fall of Gaddafi, which is what the Arabs needed, now they've tried to change that whole area into Arab. Now politically, they're trying to say, well, we're going to separate Sudan now. So when you separate Sudan, you're going to separate the history. Now the Sudan people ain't going to be able to say, we created the god Happy. We created the god Horus. You know what's going to happen in the next 20 years? The Arabs are going to be able to try to change everything and say, we said it. Everything skin color. And this is something that Africans don't understand. Shout out to Misfit. He says, I disagree with almost everything you say. Hey, 50-50 is good with me. I really like Misfit. I always gave you credit for being a smart guy. I'm okay. I think you're the smartest guy. I like you guys got, you know what, Misfit, I got to check out some more Misfits music. Matter of fact, Misfit, I need some moog and drums done by you. You know, I'm just going to do a collab. Let's spend some money together, man. Make sure you email me because I'm working with another studio out here in the Bay Area, but it would be interesting to get your mix in. I want to see what your engineering skills are like. Seriously, no cap. So email me. Wacky World says, exactly, Mr. Research. Them DNA tests only tell you location. It's only location, but they don't expect black men to know that. I'm still waiting for this white guy to come, and he's not coming. He's up here chatting with me, but he won't come. It's crazy how much these white people fear a discussion. It's crazy. It's insane. Well, that's somebody else. Yeah, but you know, you try to have these conversations. So let me give you other information that you guys can use. So Cleopatra and Misfit, this will be good for you to talk about with your black friends. Cleopatra's mother is undetermined. The mother that they're trying to say is her mother has no pregnancy records. Facts, facts, facts. She has pregnancy records for her son. She has pregnancy records for her other daughter, but not the daughter that they're trying to claim. Also, Cleopatra 6 does not have records for her mother. Ain't that a trip? Ain't that a trip? These people, now I want you black men to understand this. These people are claiming that it's 100% Greece, but they have no pregnancy records, even though the pregnancy records for the other children are valid and documented. Ain't that a trip? It's like saying, and I want y'all to understand this, it's like saying, how much you charging an hour, Misfit? How much you charging an hour? I'm doing Moog and drums with you, cube bass, Moog and drums. I want to see what you got, what you're working with. No snares, no hi-hats. I don't need snares and hi-hats because I'm a challenge. I need real tonality, musicality. That's what I'm looking for in studio engineers. So that's the crazy thing, is that these people will make these assertions and you're like, what are you talking about? Show me the documentation. Like, you guys know, I'm always willing to be wrong. But if the mother is not documented, then how are you going to tell me she can't be Kush? Okay, I will agree with you. There was no concept of black, even though Al-Kubalan means land of the blacks. That's documented. Nimrod considered that area land of the blacks. King Xerxes, in your Bible, consider King Xerxes, the guy who's documented in your Bible, considered it land of the blacks. But okay, it wasn't considered black. Okay, fine. Let's call it Kush. We can all agree it was called Kush, right? So this whole area was Kush. So how are you going to say just because 30 white people came there that all of a sudden the entire area is white? That's ridiculous. What about the Berbers? They're tan black people with blue and green eyes. Yes, you got dark-skinned people with blue eyes. I was talking to another guy who says, but they got blue eyes. I said, sir, I was in Tingis. There are a lot of dark-skinned people with blue and green and gray and gold eyes, sir. You said gold? I said, sir, again, you don't have the range for this conversation. That's why you're doing insults. You talking with a guy who reads a lot and cross-references a lot. Sir, whatever. Go crack your jokes. That's why I understand Tyreek when he be saying stuff about certain people, because it's like people just be saying stuff just to say it. Even if I'm wrong, show me the documentation. Show me the documentation. This is crazy, man. It's really insane. But I'm glad this movie is being made because it forces anti-blacks to have a conversation. Wacky said half of the Sudan consists of Arabs. Yeah, but it consists of Arabs now. Didn't consist of Arabs before 600. And we're talking about things that happened before the Great War, the Great Arab War in 610. So, I mean, Arabs came after the fact and rewrote everything because blacks refused to fight back. Blacks love Islam so much they are willing to allow themselves to get rewritten. Misfit said, I promise I will come on soon. I've been a little sick. I hope you do well, man. Make sure you take that, NyQuil, brother, and cough that stuff up, man. Also, I no longer consider myself white anymore. I understand, brother. It's all good. You still good with me, bro. You still good with me. I just think that you can learn a lot of my approach to conversations. That's why I like you a lot. I think I think your heart's in the right place. But I think you need people like me to balance out your situation. All right, I've been on here 30 minutes. I got to do another 5 minutes. So does anybody have any Cleopatra questions in the chat room? Put them in the chat I'm going to answer your Cleopatra or your Egypt questions. Put them in the chat. Come on. I got 5 minutes. Put them in the chat. In any of the talking points you've heard white people say, put them in the chat. Since my white adversary is not showing up, he's scared for some reason. Put your questions in the chat. Yeah. So Wacky says true. Half of Sudan consists of Arabs now. Yeah. Scream says it's funny how they believe the Bible. It says Miss Rain is one of the sons of Canaan. You know, so here's the whole thing. Let's take the Bible out of it for a second. Let's just use any religion that came before the Bible. You have a lot of conversations in these other cultures that are on the continent that shows a lot of stuff existed before the Bible was even formatted. And the Bible tends to have some of the similarities of some of these angels. Islam has quite a few similarities of the Bible, and Islam came after. Islam did not come before, even though people try to lie and say it meant before. So here's one question. Cush meant burnt skin. So no, Cush did not mean burnt skin. We have to go off what the originators of the word classified it as, not what outsiders who were afraid to come there classified it as. It's the same thing as Al-Kebulan, land of the blacks. Al-Kebulan is a term that outsiders used about the land. Now, Al-Kebulan got changed, its meaning changed after the Arabs took over. But like I said, I've been in Tingis, Africa, 1991. I traveled through Egypt going over to Palestine way before. I was in music. So it allowed me to not do what military guys do. I got the chance to travel. So, and everything was cheaper back then too. And, you know, I was a young kid, man. I was a young kid. I was like just out of high school, you know. So you got to look at it like this. Cush does not mean burnt. There's no documentation to support that from the Cushite people of Ethiopia, Sudan, or Libya. There's no documentation that supports that. And I am a documentation person. Serious question. Why does the race of Cleopatra matter so much? Great question. So why does it matter so much? Because the people don't want it to be a black person at all. Okay. So then that's your answer. And your counter question, because I answered your question first, your counter question is, why does it matter so much to them, Misfit, if they know they have no documentation on the mother? If I tell you, now Misfit, here's a serious question. I want you to answer this in the chat room, Mr. Misfit. If Serena Williams has a daughter, how are people going to tell me she 100% Armenian? Put it in the chat. If Serena Williams has a daughter, which she does, how are we going to say that she's 100% Armenian? Give me your answer in the chat. Okay. And then he also says, admittedly, I'm not well read on her, but honestly, not sure either side cares much. Well, they do care because that's why they got a lawsuit. So here's another thing that you need to answer in the chat room, Misfit. Why have a lawsuit when you had an Australian woman play Cleopatra? Why have a lawsuit when you had the girl from Israel about to play Cleopatra? You didn't have no lawsuit for her. Why have a lawsuit when you got cartoons with Cleopatra with dark skin? Why have a lawsuit? So I got to ask Why have the lawsuit? Why is the lawsuit so important when I can show you, hey, Gods of Egypt, where was your lawsuit? Where was your lawsuit for the movie Gods of Egypt? Showing a German guy and a guy from Scotland. Where was your lawsuit? So see, that's why I need a white person answering these questions, Misfit. Where's your lawsuit? Where's your lawsuit for a Russian man playing a pharaoh? A Russian man playing a pharaoh. Where's your lawsuit? You don't have no lawsuit. Okay, so why is it so important? I don't know, because it really shouldn't matter, because the whole area had different cultures. And if you can prove that the mother, then go ahead. But we did they did a thing on Cleopatra 6, the sister, and she's of Cush descent. So why can't 7 be of Cush descent? Crazy, because they hate that dark skin. That dark skin gets them upset, man. Scream said, I agree. Misfit says, I only ask question of race because historically we'll never know the answer. Yeah, because we're not even supposed to be tripping off skin color, to be honest. The Greeks are the one that created phenotype. Nobody else created phenotype. Greeks are created this whole skin color stuff, and they use it as a weapon. Wacky World said, good answer. Bunker TV says, if they're the Egyptians, why don't they practice Egyptology? Because they're Arabs pretending to be Egyptian. Because they're Arabs pretending to be Egyptians. Because they're Arabs pretending to be Egyptians. That's your answer. It's the same thing they're trying to do to the Berbers. They created a whole new name for the Berbers. The Berbers are documented even in your Bible. And they're trying to create a whole new Arab name that came after 1999. That name wasn't even out there when I was out there in Tingis. The Berbers called themselves Berbers. They got the tattoos going over, 2 tattoos going over across their face, on the side of their cheeks. They were always there. They're like the Native American Indians of that area. They were even practicing the god Poseidon. These other people don't practice that. These other people can't even name Egyptian gods. They're Arabs. That's your answer. Good question. Any more questions about Cleopatra? Cleopatra's family don't exist. What do you? That's a statement. That's not a question. Why do you claim, Bunker, that the family doesn't exist? We're here to get information. Misfit say, I'm questioning both sides. Thank you, Misfit. I appreciate it. Zoe says, my question to you is, how did so many black people, now this is a question about black people. It's not about any history. It's about black people end up Muslim. I always thought that was an Arabic thing. So here's what I learned about Africa. The African people have a tendency, and I'm going to use the land of Punt as an example. The land of Punt used to make slaves out of Arabs. Listen to that. Listen to the answer I'm giving you, Zoe. The land of Punt used to make slaves out of Arabs in their region. That's a documented historical thing. But they end up taking up the religion of their servants. When Islam was born, they end up taking up the religion of their servants. It's the same way that in Rome, many of the people in that area were Jews, and they were practicing Judaism. Some of the Romans were practicing Judaism, even though the Romans had the Jews as servants. Later on, when Christ went through what he went through at the at at the at the beating of Jews, some of the Romans took up Christianity. The Romans created the word Christianity. Y'all should be donating for this level of the game, man. This level of the game don't come every day. Y'all should be donating for this level of the game, man. But so yes, so that's your answer, man. Is that a lot of this stuff came way before. So that's your answer. So Africans have a tendency to take on different cultures. If we go in there as California blacks, for example, you'll have many of them take on the California black identity. That's unfortunately what they do. And that's why they've been weaponized so much by different factions across the world. Scream says some converted and some others may have been through slavery. Yes, unfortunately, it's like I told you in another video. What happens in Africa is if King Zo catches a bunch of Bantu children or Somali children, mind you, and children soldiers are a big thing in Africa. Okay, big thing. Okay, I just saw a Arab guy in 2023 marry a 23, 24-year-old guy marry a 10-year-old girl. Yeah, it's a real thing in 2023. So using children is a big thing that the continent does, Arabs and Africans. So Scream is right. What happens is people will have a tendency to capture children and then tell the children, if you want to live, you are now Zo children. You are the Zo warriors. And they will serve King Zo. And then King Zo gets larger and larger. Next thing you know, they'll be called the Zo people. It happens quite a lot, man. Queen Amina, go look up Queen Amina and how she captured children, turning Cameroonian children into Hausa children, turning Igbo children into Hausa children, just by capturing them and giving them to serve and become soldiers. Scream says, how did Greeks create it? Honest question. So go look up the term phenotype. Go look up the term phenotype and type in Greeks and type in timeline or date created. You will find that came all out of their creation. The whole phenotype is their claim to fame. There was no phenotype on the planet. There was no documented skin color. The same thing happened like when you look at Cubans, for example. Everybody's Cuban, but you got dark skins and light skins, but they don't trip off the skin color. You could be a light-skinned Cuban and have a dark-skinned grandmother. It ain't no big thing to you. But the mafia, Maya Lansky, came and introduced skin color to Cuba. Cuba never had that concept before the Havana Club. This is one of the reasons Fidel Castro used his money to fight the Havana Club and the supporter and the president who was supporting the Havana Club. People don't like to tell you that level of the game. Muhammad isn't in the pyramids. No, Muhammad was born in 570 AD. Muhammad was born in 570 AD. That's because the way the centuries work is the ending that dictates the number. So 570 to 570 or what is it? It's a weird way they do the centuries. So let's say 570 down to 599 is considered 6th century. It's not 601. Ain't that weird? But that's how they do the centuries. And that's why it's good for you to be well read on this stuff. Um, Probably why Misfit thinks I'm a smart guy, because nobody's ever explained the centuries to you guys how it works. So it's not 501. It's like down to 599. That's considered 6th century, and then down to 699 is considered 7th century. It's a weird thing. You would think that it starts at 7 something. You would think 570 BC would be 5th century. You would think, but that's not how it works. So any other questions before I get out of here? Elizabeth Taylor. So Elizabeth Taylor, they claimed that she wasn't in the movie theaters. There wasn't a lot of movie theaters out there at the time Elizabeth Taylor did her thing. So that's just a lie within itself. And I laughed at somebody that said that, oh, we blocked Elizabeth Taylor. No, you didn't. You celebrated the shit. Misfit Nation. That's why I stopped considering myself white race, because literally creating a divide. Yeah, because to be honest, here's a question, Misfit, and for everybody in the room. If even the historians say that everybody comes from Africa, and even if Mr. Research can prove to you and other historians that the oldest 2 artifacts on the planet are in Africa, there's nothing older, not in Asia, not in Russia, nothing is older than these 2 artifacts. Not in Greece. Then everybody comes from Africa. So to try to separate Misfit from Mr. Research is ridiculous, because everybody's American. Even the Asian guy's American. But when we start doing this whole, well, you talking white and you talking black, and what are you doing? How are you going to win a war like that? So Misfit said, can you elaborate on California blacks being weaponized? So that's on a totally different thing. Come back to me with on another one for that. I can't do it on this because I don't want to get derailed. I want to keep in line with this. Misfit said, just looked it up. He's right. I'm always going to give you dates, timelines, wars, kings, and queens. Anybody that can't give you dates, Ronald Reagan said the word monkey. Bill Clinton played the saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show. You got to have dates and timelines. Otherwise, people are having a believe me because I say so speech. Jeremy says Greeks are just Romans. They aren't Jewish phenotype wise. So there's 2 schools of thoughts with the Greeks. And I've had probably 4 historian conversations with historians. Remember, I'm out here with UC Berkeley and Stanford, so I got to be on my P's and Q's. So one historian says that the Greeks came out of what's known as Turkey today. Well, that's impossible. Well, I can't say it's impossible, but they had a whole war. So if they were cousins, why would they even have a war? That's just ridiculous. Yet the Greeks were scared of North Africa. Yet during the Byzantine Empire, they were scared to get on the water. This is a documented thing. So I lean toward them coming out of the area of Rome. Or it wasn't Rome at the time, because Rome was not created until 200 BCE. I'll even give it 75 BCE. BCE is not AD. BCE is not AD. BCE is before AD. And I lean toward more that. They say it originated way before, but they've always treated each other as cousins, Rome and Greece. So, and so I just don't see the correlation, because they had a great war with Turkey. Turkey was called Troy. Troy in your Bible is Turkey. Zoe says, I just learned so much in a short amount of time. Hey, donate, brother. Donate. King of Classy on Cash App. I take every $5, $10, and $20, man. Go ahead and donate, man, this level of the game. King of Classy Cash App. Were there more than one Yes, there were probably like 13 Cleopatras, dude. There were probably, I think it's like 13 or higher than that. But there were several Cleopatras, bro. It wasn't no one Cleopatra. There was the one they keep talking about is Cleopatra 7. And to prove this, Reverend Duncan, Queen Bernice, her sister, was queen before her and was killed by her father when he returned. That's documented. I only give you documented stuff, Tim Duncan. That's documented. That ain't no believe me because I say so speech. That's something you can go type in right now. Just like there was more than one Queen Elizabeth, exactly. Or more than one Queen Victoria, exactly. Misfit Nation, I don't know how many people that argue that we don't come from Africa. A lot of white people argue that we don't come from Africa, Misfit. A lot of people try to say that Celtics existed before Africa. That's just not true. A lot of people this is one of the reasons why they try to say Spain is in Europe, when actually Spain is not in Europe. Spain is closer to Africa than it is to France. Let me say it again. Spain, you can look on your map right now, Misfit Nation. Type in map of Spain and then France. Spain is closer to Tingis, which is now known as Tangier, than it is to France. The Rock of Gibraltar is a 5-hour boat ride from Tingis to the Rock of Gibraltar. It ain't nowhere near France. It ain't nowhere near Germany. But, like I said, people like to rewrite stuff to make the white side of stuff seem good. A lot of people fail to realize what they'd actually mean. No, Misfit, they realize what it means because politically they're weaponizing it. It's the same way that you and I had the conversation about Democrats versus Republicans. If Republicans stopped saying a lot of anti-black stuff, they could have been had black people on their side. I am a conservative, but I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. I'm part of the Forward Party. I'm not part of Republicans. Because you can't keep having these anti-black talking points and saying, come on over. All you got to do is stop that crap. But they don't want people to leave because they know a lot of anti-blacks are there. So Jeremy say the Turkish people are Germans, or the origin of them are. I don't have any evidence because that's okay. Let me show you something. So it's hard to say that because I have to show you where the map is. So when you say that, you have to provide some type of documentation that gets you there. So let me show you the map of Turkey. And when you claim, and respectfully, when y'all claim, I just want you could be right. I would just prefer that you show me how it's possible or give me some documentation because, see, this is what white people say a lot. So here's the map. And I need for you to kind of rationalize. Sometimes people say stuff that helps white folks and they don't realize it. Again, I'm willing to be wrong, but so here's Turkey. Okay. Turkey is here. Okay. Turkey is here. Here's Syria. Here's Turkey. This used to be the land of Troy in your Bible. Okay. You go through Bulgaria. In order for Germans to be Turkish, you would have had to travel through Bulgaria, through Serbia, through Slovenia, through Austria to get to Munich. That's a lot of other lands. But let's assume that they are. Let's assume that they are. And while I'm here, let me prove this whole Spain thing for Misfit. Here is Spain. Here's the Rock of Gibraltar. Here's the tip of Africa, which is Tingis. The Rock of Gibraltar is here. France is way over here. How is this that's cut off from the river of Andoria, cut off from the river of Andoria? How is this Europe? Europe is way over here. Okay. All right. Europe is way over here. I don't know how that is, but okay. So that's my point. When you guys say like it's from Turkey, I just don't have documents that supports that. So 200 AD or 200 BC, Tim Duncan, which one are you talking about? So 200 BCE, don't use BC. The white folks have changed it now. It used to be BC when we were kids, okay? So 200 BCE, you must understand Spartacus existed with the war between Xerxes and Sparta. That happened way before Remus, the creator of Rome, was even born. Let me say it again, Tim Duncan, and thank you for your $20 donation. Sparta happened Sparta's a documented war, and it happened way before Remus was even born. So I don't know. Look that up and get back to me. Maybe you got some better information. I'm willing to learn, Tim Duncan. I'm willing to learn. Scream said, how do they argue that? I don't know. I can't explain. Because when like I said, the most powerful thing I have is the ability to you teach me how what you're saying is true. And a lot of people can't do that. They just assert that I should believe them. Scream says, do you see White saying Kosan people are not black but white? That ish kill me. Again, timeline, gentlemen. Timeline. We're dealing with timelines. One thing that anti-blacks don't like is timeline, because timeline is hard to disprove. And, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. I just want you guys to understand that a lot of this stuff is about timeline. It's not about what you think it is, man. It's about timeline. You know, that always when someone says something to you guys, always look up the timeline. Always look up the timeline. Just look up the timeline and start asking people, how is that timeline what you're saying? How is that king or that battle what you're talking about? Be willing to be wrong, but just ask them how is that how How did how did that happen? Just explain it to me. How did that happen? And a lot of times people can't explain it to you. It's a believe me because I say so type of conversation. You know? So that's the best thing I can say. Educated says, Dr. Educated says, England was in the Dark Ages until the Romans showed up. Actually, was it Rome? Was it Rome? Who came before Rome? Somebody came before Rome. And off the top of my head, I can't remember who came before Rome. But for right now, I'll roll with you on that. I do know that the Romans did give them uh, a sense of aristocrat, a sense of uh, I can't pronounce the word effectively, so I'll say aristocrat. Uh, they they gave them that, so there was that element of it, but there was somebody before Rome. I know the Saxons existed. The Saxons were indigenous to a degree, uh, but matter of fact, I got to look that up just off the top of my head. What year was that? So that was during Claudius. So, so this is why I give Rome its credit for 050. Sometime I even say 010 because it wasn't truly formed till 200. But well, no, Claudius is after. Claudius is AD. I apologize. Claudius is AD. He's after 200. It goes 200, 199, 198, all the way down to zero. Then it starts again, one, two, three. So, yeah. So Claudius came, and I think they were invading before Claudius. So he came in 43 AD. So England, 10 AD, was the Anglo-Saxon period. Yeah. So it was the Anglo-Saxon period. So that was the Saxon rule when the Saxons controlled that area. And I know there's something even before that, because that's so Rome ended in, let's call it fifth century, which is 400 something. And before that, I'm going to do some research on first century. First century, no, second century. Let's go second, third century. Second century, second century. What was running second century? Well, Scotland was running it, and Scotland basically is Saxons. So Saxons were running England prior to. So there's that. Um, Misfit said, "What anti-black stuff?" Actually, you would have to come on live to have that conversation with me. I don't want to derail it from this. I'm already an hour in. I'm just trying to get through these questions. Dr. Eddie said, "I joined the Libertarian Party. I couldn't deal with Republicans no more. Shout out to that. Romans are just Italians. Yes, Romans are just Italians. Um, uh, I don't know about the Russian part, but they are Italians. Um, some They originated China. Who are you suggesting originated China? Who are you suggesting? Um, are you suggesting the Turks originated China? And if so, what does that History Channel say the first king or queen was? Let's narrow it down on how that happened and who who that happened through. Because Mongols controlled China before there was a China. So, I mean, go figure, you know. Well, that's not fair. That's not fair. Let me retract that. What's known as the Mongols did not. Let me say it. Let me say it differently. The people of that region before the term Mongols, before the horseback Asians dominated, they were in China heavy. This is, yeah. So I'm like I said, I don't want to derail it. I'll do that for another thing. Spain are more closer to Arab. Why do you say that? Why is Spain? Why do the Arabs of Syria? Why do the Arabs of Iraq get credit for what's happening right above Tingis, Africa? Why would you not give the Tingis African people credit for Spain? Especially when it's documented that Hannibal's grandfather, not Hannibal himself, not his father, but his grandfather was driving elephants through there, through Hispania. Why do you give credit to Arabs when we got North Africans who were forget the North Africans, the Sea people occupied that place way before Ramesses II. So why would you give it to Arabs? Let's try to understand that sometimes when we black people say stuff, Jeremy, we're helping white folks in their talking points. Because a person like me comes along and asks you, why would you give it to Arabs when we got African people in that country documented way before the Arabs even came over? I don't know. But just prove me wrong. I would love to learn. I'd love to learn, man. Scream said Spain and Arab. How? Yeah, timeline. It's all about the timeline don't support the Arabs controlling that. The Moors came way after. Please, everybody understand that. The Moors came way after, way after, way after Queen Dido, way after the Sea People, way after. The Spaniards on the southern regions have dark skin. Exactly. They look more African than they were, and they've been in there for centuries. You know, Carthagena. Somebody explain Carthagena to me. If Spain is supposed to be so white and Arab, explain Carthagena to me. Somebody. How has Carthagena been so black for so long? I would really like to know. Give me a white person to debate. Somebody find me a white person. Mr. Research, I'm saying the origin. I'm confused, Jeremy. They took over Spain. Yeah, they took over Spain because the Moors were blackamoors and Moors. The Moors were part Arab. So yeah. Okay, so once again, Spartacus existed before Rome was created. So Rome didn't get created until 200. So, well, hold on. Spartacus 103.71. It should be earlier than that. Sparta, or maybe you're just talking about the Spartacus event. Hold on, let me see which one you're talking about. I think you're talking about the Spartacus event, not Sparta. Yeah, Spartacus is a person. But Sparta, let's see when Sparta started. Sparta, When was Sparta founded? Yeah, Sparta was founded 1000 BCE, sir. Sparta was founded during the times of the Messenians, King Menelaus. That's way before there was a Rome. That's way before there was Rome. So let me see when Sparta ended. So Sparta ended, according to this, 192 BCE. That's 190. That's why I said timelines are important, people. Sparta ended 192 BCE and it was founded 1000 BCE. So that's 1000, 999, 998, 997, 996, 995, all the way down to 100. No, all the way down to 200, 199, 198, 197, 196, 192. So I don't know. I don't know. The timeline don't support that. You talking about Spartacus is one person. He's one person. He's not Sparta. He's not Sparta. The land of Sparta is what you should be looking up, not the one person. Will you be tomorrow night after 11? Yeah, we can do that. I'll be available. I got pictures of Spartacus. It was founded in Israel. I'm not going to, that's a side item on where it was founded. I'm not going to be for or against it. I'm going to let that land right now because that's something between you guys on the chat. The Visigoths invaded Spain. They actually invaded upper Spain near the river that I spoke about earlier, close to France. They never came in the middle. They was never documented in the middle. They were never documented down in Granada. I would love for you to give me any Viking king, because Visigoths are Vikings, any or Goth Vikings. I would love for you to give me any one of them that came to Granada. None of them were in Granada. They were only at the top, only near the water close to France, because they love invading France. They had no reason to go through the forests of Iberia to get to. They just had no need to. The Visigoths were fake Romans. Actually, Visigoths were pirates at the end of the day. Visigoths were just like most Vikings are pirates. That's all they were. I can't say they were fake Romans. They were Swedish and Germanic people who were on boats, who lived on boats. The Romans are. I always have trouble pronouncing that name. They did have Romans who, matter of fact, I need to do a thing on that about the Romans before that were of darker skin, because Remus' mother, who he calls a dog, notice mother keeps him alive. He calls her a dog. I believe she was Etrushka. I don't want to pronounce the name. I always mess the name up. But I'm gonna have to do a thing about that, about the people of let's just call it the Arno Rivers, the people of the Arno Rivers. I'm gonna have to do a thing about that at some point in time. Shout out, man, to the donations, you guys. Thank you, King of Classy on Cash App. I do appreciate it. It helps me do a lot of marketing and things on these videos. So, we up to $40, so I appreciate it, man. Jeremy says, yes, Roman fall ran into Russia. I'll have to cover that at some point in time. Look at Putin. He looks like Caesar. Russians are part Asian, but nobody likes to notice that they're right next to Mongol. But you know, uh, Tim Duncan says the person. Yes, the person, not the land. Uh, AA and Caribbee are not African. Africans are Hamites, and they have a different skull structure. So, SETI, who created skull structure? Was it an African person? Did an African person create skull structure? Put it in the chat room. Did a African person create skull structure? Are they the ones who created the science that differentiates? Go ahead, put it in the chat room. Waiting for SETI. In the chat room, did an African person at any point in time create this ability to decide which skull is which? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm willing to learn. I'm just willing to learn. Who's the name of this person that created this technique? And but Hamites, hey, that's another conversation. I'm not going to get into it. I'm gonna let you have it. Hey, I'm willing to learn. At the end of the day, I don't refer to them as Hamites. They're Berbers to me. I was told back in '91 to refer to them as Berbers, and that's how I refer to them to this day. I don't refer to them as anything else. Actually, I'm going to cover one of the wars that the Arabs placed on the Berbers after the fall of Egypt. I'm going to go into that. Good. I'm down to the last two questions. Let me hurry up. Yeah, I don't know proof of skull difference. I just want to know who created the skull difference. Scream. Here's a better question for you, Scream. Name the person who created this ability to do skull difference, and let's dig into who that person was, how he studied, and how he came up with this technique. I would even pay you, Scream. I would pay you. I pay you $30 out of my own pocket. I cash up you $30, Scream, if you can get the information from SETI, and I will pay you to come on here and do a dissertation on this person who created this and where they came from, where they went to school, what technique that I pay you for it. Because see, this is what I'm talking about. Black people gotta beware of saying stuff that helps white people. It's I'm not saying nobody's wrong. I just want to learn. I want to learn. And I want some names. I want some timelines. I want to know how this stuff happens. Spartacus has an afro. That's debatable. But I'll let you have that one too, because I'm neither for nor against. It possibly could be. Somebody else might call it curly hair. But either way is right. That's the crazy thing. Shout out to Misfit for saying that. Both sides are right. Afro and curly hair, same thing. SETI didn't give us that name. We was looking for that name, SETI. What happened to that name of that doctor? Scream says, what does that have to do with them being or not being related? Who is them? Who is them? And are you talking to me or somebody in the chat? Spartacus is dark-skinned European, most likely. Could be. But the white people I've been talking to says he was just tan in the sun. White people be called over some crazy stuff. Just like the original. Okay, so this is the last question. I'm out of here. SETI says the bust of Cleopatra. Which bust? Hold on, stop. Before I read the rest of this, which bust of Cleopatra 7? Is it something that was made in Greece? SETI, did she sit down for this bust? Did she sit in front of this artist and have him do it? Or is this an interpretation? Do you have the day that she sat down and did this bust? Here's what you got to understand about the Cleopatra 7 artifacts. Many of them have never been to Alexandria. They were created in Greece and they stayed in Greece. So if this is a person who created this in Greece and he never even presented it to Cleopatra, Cleopatra's never even seen it, it's never left Greece, how is that a likeness of the person? Because I can show you Hannibal and the coins he was putting out with his face on it. That's nothing like the Hannibal that the Greeks painted. Somebody had to pay me $100 10 years ago behind that when I showed them the coins. So if the artifact on Barca is totally different, and then Queen Dido sat for a sculpture. She actually sat for a sculpture. The girl is like 5'2", 5 foot. She sat for a sculpture. It's totally different than the Greek painting that they draw on her. Totally different. But I'm going to read the rest of this. They look black. I don't like using these Greek phrases of nigga. Yeah, they look black. Okay. I think you're talking about the ones that are in Alexandria. The ones in Alexandria look totally different from the paintings of Greece. Cleopatra had thick lips, puggish nose. Yeah, she had a very puggish nose. And see, this is why you guys got to understand how they be cutting off these darn lips and these darn noses. All right, I got to get out of here. I was talking to SETI. Okay, good. Yeah. Give them that work, Scream. Give them that work. I love good debates, man. Scream says DNA testing, race of individuals was determined by skull shape and arm length. Black arms. So if blacks have an arm length and body, what do the pygmies have? Hey, shout out to Nakamizi. I was on his channel yesterday, man. It was a great conversation, man. Matter of fact, I should do a little snippet of the conversation me and Nakamizi had. I think my fans, you guys would love the discussion we all had. But I'm finna go to the gym now. Nakamizi came late, but SETI says the DNA testing. Okay, so if black people have a certain body and length, explain the pygmies. Explain the Somalians. Are they not Kushite? No. What are they? Are they classified as black? If this doctor with his DNA testing is so good, tell me what he says about the pygmies. I'm willing to give you $20 cash. Tell me what he says about the pygmies. Much love to you guys. Scream is laughing. You like that one, huh, Scream? So shout out to you guys, man. Thank you for the donations, man. And remember, you can donate to King of Classy. This was some good information. Nakamizi, please scroll this video back to the front. I think you'll get some good information about it. Maybe some stuff you want to debate. And much love, you guys. Let me go to my gym, man. Much love. I'm going to holler at you. Peace.